All right.
Okay, I'll call this meeting to order. Have a roll call.
Carrie Pastor.
Scott Sobey.
Sandy Slavin.
Jim Gibberti. Quorum. We also have Director Scott DeHansel. And we have minutes, past minutes that we need acceptance of from June 3rd, 2025.
Move to accept June 3rd, 2025 meeting minutes.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have the August 14th, 2025 meeting minutes.
Move to accept the August 14th, 2025 meeting minutes.
Second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
We do not have the August 28th meeting minutes. There's a technical hang up on that. So we'll have them for the next meeting.
Thank you for putting the minutes on the agenda.
We have an abatement here that's being brought before us because of kind of abatement that it is because of request. It's been, yeah, quote unquote. Come on, put something said. It's from the Atlantic Motel. He's looking for an abatement because he's running a low occupancy. And because he's running a low occupancy, he wants to adjust it down. Because it's a motel, so he has an EDU for each unit.
How many units? And how many units you want to shut down and get her?
I don't want to shut anything down. He just doesn't want to pay for it once he's not using it at the present time because he doesn't have the attendance.
Well,
How do we control?
help me understand
The bottom line
someplace.
is that the recommendation from the superintendent is that this be denied.
And I'd like to add something. This was one of the hotels in which the town put up immigrants
Yep.
for quite a while. So every room was used by multi-sized families for substantial period of time. I make a recommendation, we support the denial of the abatement.
Just as a question, how do we support it when we haven't denied it? Oh,
It's in the letter.
sorry, I don't have that.
It should be in your packet.
I do.
Keep going, it's under the minutes.
There
Ah.
It's
Paul.
I'll second the motion.
all in favor?
Wait, before we vote.
Sorry.
I was wondering what kind of data he submitted. Did he submit any occupancy data?
Doesn't matter. So the definition for the abatement is that he has to have his water meters shut off for over a year. So just by your guidelines in the sewer department guidelines, it doesn't meet the description required of needing an abatement.
Yeah, this would also open up a can of worms with every other rental property.
Seasonal rental properties,
in the
yes.
town.
Sorry, it just doesn't fit the description, so, by definition, it just doesn't fit.
Yeah, but did he submit any data for occupancy?
No.
Just his cover letter that he was 20% occupied.
Okay.
It's less than 20%, but who's to say what might change?
Are we gonna do this on a weekly basis? Right?
Yeah, of course, that's just the way it goes.
Sure. I'll see doing business.
Got a motion, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So this would fit, like for my daughter's house too, the water hasn't been on there for more than a year, but the meter is still on. So, I mean, she hasn't used the sewer for more than a year, there's been no toilets or anything connected, but it still wouldn't
Where was the water turned off?
The water hasn't been turned off
In the house itself, not at.
But it's not been turned off by the water department,
Right.
which is the criteria.
Right, so I wouldn't argue for an abatement for that very reason.
yet. Right, yeah, like you said, it doesn't have to
Because we asked for confirmation from
You
the
can
water
argue.
departments.
You can argue,
You could argue it.
I'll let her argue for it.
And put it on her back. On her back, okay. Scott, I guess there's two articles on here, the belt press and the pump stations.
Yeah, we already discussed them, I guess it's just has to go for a vote, so.
Where's the articles? I've not seen them.
Articles?
I'm not gonna approve an article and then see it until I can see what the warrant's gonna look like. Nor have these been, the belt press is not on the capital planning. The pump stations are, but the belt press isn't on the capital plan.
So what's the process? What am I missing?
Well, you're going to submit an article which is due Monday morning. What's the article? Who's written the article, the motion, the explanation? Formal document has to be
Yeah, I
done.
guess I'll look in to see if I have a draft of something I can look into.
Well,
I don't recall doing it last time, it was just, we made the request and then it got turned into an article.
I think I wrote the article.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know about this.
But the pump station's on capital planning?
It's an ongoing
That's right.
50,000 a year
Saw
for
that- I
pumps.
saw that on the
For
schedule.
the pump station is an ongoing, but the belt press was not included.
Well, I think the belt press just came up recently because of the problems with Synagro and what they were.
Well, wait a minute, we approved the belt press.
Right.
So why do we need another one?
No, it's the same one. So we, back in, I think it was last year, we were going to get one that was actually a used one. We were going to get that. But in reality, since now we're really having to do this the right way, we're gonna go and get a nicer, newer one.
Was this the roll-off container and trailer?
Yeah. Roll-up container trailer and,
Okay, it's the roll-off container and trailer for $500,000 is on the capital plan.
okay,
Trouble is, I haven't seen the article,
okay.
so. How did you, sorry, Scott, how did you think it would turn up and be put on the warrant?
I thought it would go from here and be voted to be put onto town meeting to be voted. I don't know.
Yeah, but they need to see, you need to see an article.
That's fine,
What does the
I'll find a
article-
draft one.
That's my question, Sandy. What does the article actually do to
I
help
think it just,
expedite
Here is a typical, here is an article. This was for the aeration blowers and vehicles. You need an article. Here's that one. Here's a sample of another article. Sample of another article. You need a motion, then you need an article. What are you gonna do and how are you funding it?
So the special town meeting or town meeting has to take place first to approve?
Yeah, you can't spend this money because it's a,
So,
anyway, if you have an electronic copy of that, I'd be happy to turn and create
here's a typical article. Just,
so it's
oh,
basically
here,
boiler,
take a look at this one. This was
basically
a good one.
boilerplate.
Yeah.
So, but this is, I guess this is where I'm getting at. I didn't know this is created, and it looks like these are created by the town clerk.
Those are certified copies from the town meeting warrant. I don't have them. I have to write them.
So, just so for layman's purposes, can you walk us through, especially me, if I'm the
What happens?
Especially us.
us, the steps? A,
Okay,
let me throw this hypothetical. If he needs $300,000 to get something, walk me through from there, if you don't mind.
so the request comes down, I want to spend
From him.
300,000 from from Scott K.
to us,
to us saying, and here is how I'm going to fund it. And we approved the process, we approved it will happen and that we would submit an article to town meeting.
so we submit the article?
No, we have historically, we sewer commissioners write and submit the article, and I have been writing the articles
As the clerk.
as the clerk
Of the sewer commission?
of the sewer commissioners.
Oh.
Then what happens is once we approve the written article, you wanna see exactly how
We as in us,
has to approve the written article,
the sewer commission,
yes.
right?
And then it goes to the Board of Selectmen, to the town administrator, and to Finance Committee. It is then voted by the Select Board to be placed on the warrant. Then the Select Board at another meeting says whether or not they support the article. I'm in favor of the article. Then it goes before Finance Committee to say whether or not I support the article. Now that vote by the Select Board and FinCom is added to the town warrant, and that goes before the town meeting, and the body votes on whether or not to accept the article.
So what we should do now, as I'm listening to that, is to approve the writing of a warrant that would then be forwarded to the next step.
Unfortunately, the deadline is Monday.
Can we take, well, the next step is back to us to approve the article, as you
Yes.
said. So could,
We can talk about it and give me the details, and said that we approve the submitting of the article.
why don't we do that, we can do that now?
Yeah. But let me put my stuff back into my folder.
And the funding source would be the
I don't
leftover
know.
cash from last year.
I don't know. That's part of that's part of our discussion is what is the funding source. And I need some information as to how to define the blower.
How to define the blower?
I need to explain to the general public what's a blower. Why do we
Belt
need
press.
it? Belt press. What's the belt press? Why do we need it?
So it was like a short paragraph.
Just like the explanation that we put down for the roles and responsibilities.
And I think what I did before, maybe I wrote you an email, so you could just basically take my email and cut and paste it into.
Could
said
very
article.
well.
I think that's what happened.
Did you get back the one I gave you? Yes, I think you did, didn't you?
I did.
So,
And then does the town clerk assign it the,
select board,
this is the warrant number?
the select board controls, the making up of the warrant
Okay.
and the sequence it's going to go in and the number it has and.
Okay.
Okay, so
So what do we need to do now
So-
then?
we know that this roll-off container and trailer is the, what are we calling them?
Belt press.
Belt press. I know that when you came before capital planning, we talked about we had some discussion at one point about the belt press allowing us to make things drier, which makes it weigh less.
It's
Why do
precisely
I-
what it is.
Why do I remember this?
We've actually discussed it multiple times.
Yeah, exactly.
You want me to write how about if I just write an email indicating exactly what you just said, which is really what it is.
Okay, so I will need to know what is a belt press, how is it used, how do we need a belt press? Purpose. Funding source.
Do you know, Scott, what the funding source, do you have an idea what that would be?
In capital, it'll be capital and or reserve funds.
I would take it out of your enterprise fund. Because what was your budget for capital in FY 2026?
It was 600,000.
You sucked it away immediately.
That's what it's there for.
I know, but then how are you gonna do the pump stations? You don't have 600,000 anymore.
Well, what we can do to that end, this town government stuff's all new to me.
So
Because we know we have reserve funds that we've carried over.
are
So
they called reserves or are they called enterprise funds?
the reserves, the enterprise fund itself is my budget.
Okay.
Give us the-
And then the reserve is what I didn't use from it, that's been going away, put away, we have quite a few $1 million in there.
So
So I'd
we,
like to pull them
both of these.
out of the reserve and put it into the capital so I can use it to buy the stuff.
It doesn't have to go into capital. If we indicate it in the article that we'll use it from the reserve, it can go directly from the reserve and doesn't have to go
Let's do that then.
How much is in reserve?
millions.
Millions.
Quite a few million. Specifically for these things.
Okay.
So I need the purpose of the belt press and the reserve funds for 500K and the pump station. Any idea which particular pump station?
Nanomet and,
And
there's 3 in particular air stations that I want to convert.
so it would be
So over time,
three pump stations for the 300,000. I mean,
I'm
there's
gonna do
three,
what I can, I'm gonna do what ones I can. So there are 3 I need to do, Nanomet would be the number 1.
well, do you want 900,000 for all 3?
No, I wanna do it as I need to.
So
One of
I-
them in particular is down to 1 of the kettles, so I need to, that's the one I wanna attack.
Okay, so we're gonna do one for
Nanomet, and it's only working on
Nanomet.
1 kettle.
for 300,000.
It's-
So I will put in
don't
the-
know the cost, but yes, that's what
I will be putting in the warrant article, it's for that particular pump station.
Can we just say for air station upgrade? It's that way, let's say I have enough left over, I can do another one. If
Or-
you say it's only for Nanomet, then I'm stuck, right?
Yeah,
Well,
So if we make it generic and I just am upgrading air stations, I'll do as many as I can for 300,000, and I'll come back and do some more next year.
then part of it is I would let me know in your email what needs to be done.
I would say the pump stations of the greatest need.
Air stations in particular.
Air stations, yeah.
Convert to pump stations.
Air, what's an air station?
Well, we have the last remaining, actually 5 air stations on the planet, and literally,
It's
you
called an
cannot get
air-
parts for it. They use air to compress a piston to push the water up into the next level.
It's called an air station?
And this is to replace the air stations with a non-air station?
Put them into, make them wet wells and pumps.
Okay.
To upgrade,
From the air to wet walls.
that's important information.
We need to upgrade the air stations.
To upgrade the air stations, upgrade to wet wells for better,
To typical pump stations.
For-
Can we just say typical pump stations?
to
Standard
standard pump station.
from substandard to standard.
We could put those kettles in the Smithsonian.
We need to have a sewer
Okay.
museum here on site.
To what needs to be done for the 5 remaining air stations. So I let the public know that we're down to 5 remaining.
Yes. We're gonna knock off what we can.
Air stations, upgrade to wet wells to standard pump station function.
Sure.
So I'm looking at 2 articles to be written by Monday morning to submit to town, to the select board, TA, and chair of chair of FinCom.
And do they have the opportunity to edit those, or do they either accept or reject?
It goes to town council.
Okay.
Then it's whatever Mr. Bowen feels necessary to be done, but they cannot edit. They cannot change the scope of what we're putting in for an article. It can only be corrected for a legal component of it.
Okay, very good. we're all on a steep learning curve here, I think.
Did I help?
Yeah.
Jimmy, you've been to many more town meetings than I've been.
I feel like I'm watching that old thing where how a bill becomes a law. Guys singing. I feel like I'm watching that right now.
Okay.
Can you sing?
I like to have a whiteboard practice about this.
I'm sure I missed something in the step, but it's the
No,
idea is that,
I'll hold you totally responsible.
okay. So we're gonna be talking about another article that we're gonna be submitting, but it's written for you to look at the words. I will need a vote to accept these based on our discussion.
Right.
I can send them out to you
Yeah.
as soon as I have them, and you can respond to me one-on-one. But this will be the vote to submit 2 articles.
Yeah, so I move to submit 2 articles covering, one of them covering a belt press for $500,000 and the other to cover upgrade of pump station, of at least one and potentially more pump stations
Air
Air stations.
to the tune of $300,000.
Okay. So you're gonna send me an email to give me some background as to this belt press, trying to reduce the amount of liquid in our sludge to make it cheaper to transport with less weight.
But we need a second.
A second, well, I'll second the motion.
Okay,
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
so I'd like to, in your note, tell me what percentage of water will be removed, for weight reduction.
78%. Actually. 18%.
I will go back to my notes from capital planning, but it took me a while to realize that this roll-off container and trailer was the belt press.
Some things burn better with water in them, like alcohol, for
I
example.
thought you were gonna see my brain.
Alcohol, for example, burns better with a small percentage of water in it.
Aye.
Thank you. I will work on this and get you something as soon as I can.
We're not gonna approve that concept here.
No.
Okay, next one's getting carried.
Updates, based on the homework assignment from the last meeting, I do have 2 handouts, but we'll discuss them in a minute, but let me go back to one of them. Was this notice that was sent out? Sandy, you remember referencing this in our last meeting? Yes, you do, and I took over, and I went to the town hall and I found out this comes from this department here, from the sewer department. And I don't know who writes them, Scott may know, or may not
I
know.
think it was previously created.
Yes.
This looks like a cut and paste from,
Yes, so the conversations we had, if you remember, was us to find out who wrote it, where does it come from, and how do we stop this from going out again without people getting their eyeballs on it to approve it. Remember this?
I do.
Yeah.
I didn't get it because it got sent to my treasurer in Rhode Island. Because the treasurer's office has new software. Right, Jimmy, that it doesn't link the sewer customer with the mailing address. It links it with a lot, which is then linked to a mailing address.
It's linked to the ownership of the property.
Yeah.
Okay, and just as an aside, you able to get the email addresses?
As an aside, we'll get those email addresses at some point.
So, to continue on this, we need to figure out how we stop this, or, based on what we discussed in last week with reference to our agenda and financial side to the business, do we want to approve all communications that go to John Kelo? Yes?
Well, yeah, I think you do.
There is a complication So we don't supervise the supervisor.
And it comes from the supervisor's office, and I believe Scott's right on this, these were pre-made or they're canned notices.
I think we become a review.
Well, yes, we can become a review, that's what we're requesting, but we gotta make sure we know when things like this are going out and when do we review. Or else you're gonna have the exact same thing that
Yep, this goes out twice a year.
Okay,
Okay, I put this particular item on for the workshop, and we can do it here.
this right here?
Yeah.
Oh, I apologize.
That's all right, that's not a problem.
You wanna discuss it further there?
Might as well, it doesn't make any difference.
We'll wait till that, right?
Uh,
The other three things I got into was, and we're gonna save them for the next meeting, I guess. 2 weeks from now, I'd like to do it. I'm not gonna pass them out, but I do have here. I had talked to each and every one of you except for Jim in reference to what we want the commission to be, i.e. the agenda, and also the financing, i.e. the budget. And I have the answers, which many were very similar, redundant, repetitive, whatever word you want to use to it, what people would like to see. And I think we need time, Jim, at the next meeting to get into this. But
So
some-
choose that, that'll be the agenda period for next time.
I think one of the overwhelming things was when we'd like to see the budget is monthly, all right? Everybody said they would like to see goals, objectives, and targets set on what we prioritize, okay? The narrows, the main, race up canal, whatever word you want to reference those projects to, and we have it updated every time we have a meeting, okay? All right? The other thing was, common one was the capital funding and how that is formulated and how it works. Everybody was asking about that. So I will go into more detail, but I have copies for anybody. I'll save it for the next meeting. All right? The one thing I will say about the budget survey, I thought the survey, like I said, most everybody said monthly. And the question I had to everybody was, what are the barriers to this format? And everybody pretty much concluded that we need admin help. Because the things that everybody would like to see and more to come, because you can articulate these into many subcategories, is we don't have enough admin help in order to do what we want to do, okay? And then in reference to the sewer commission articles here and the policies that I was reading from you the other day, it's very difficult for me to read and understand and approve what we want to do with the charter until we understand what we're going to get out of this. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So my final paragraph to you all is that I'd like to discuss this at the next meeting. All right, both it and the agenda side, the KPIs that we need, et cetera, what our budgets are, blah, 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 before we get into finalizing the new language for the charter. That's my recommendation, or my thoughts, I should say. I will hold this until the next meeting.
Comments? Thank you, Harry.
I'm sorry, one with charter, we need to review our bylaws. Big time. It's more than charter, it's the bylaws.
Whatever the term, yeah.
Policies, bylaws, and charter.
Rules and regulations as well.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that on for the next workshop.
But when I tell you, this, I don't know where all this came from, and some of these policies and bylaws and stuff that's in here. It's absolutely amazing. It's puzzling to try to figure it out. So, the do's and don'ts and the cans and can'ts.
Yeah, a lot of it is what size pipe you need to connect and who needs to do it and all that kind of stuff. But there's a, so Jimmy and I met with Derek Sullivan last week, and one of the things he said was when they tried to find the rules and regulations, someone over here dug up two spiral or loose leaf notebooks, 2 versions of the rules and regulations, they weren't the same. And nobody knew which one was in force and which one wasn't.
Wow.
So it would be a high priority, I think, for us also to look at the rules and regulations as well as the bylaws.
Is that part of the policies? Rules and regulations?
No,
Or is that
rules
just something different?
Yes, so
All right.
the bylaws need to be approved by the town meeting,
So does charter change.
so this charter changed, but the rules and regulations do not.
Which is why conservation has moved to rules and regulations, so we can change them as needed
Yeah.
without a town meeting vote.
So there's no reason for the town meeting to be involved with what size pipe needs to
Exactly.
be connected
Correct.
to whatever. But they need to be in the rules and regulations so the engineers know and the contractors know.
So
I'm not sure of that at
So
all.
we know. So if we, let me ask this question while we're wandering around anyway. If we do a review of the rules and regulations, is there funding for us to ask an engineering firm to look at those to make sure that they're accurate? So if I look and see, well, a 4-inch pipe needs to have a reducer of such and such a volume, whatever, I'm not an engineer, I don't know.
You're talking about somebody that can tell us, i.e. codes, proper state fed regulations on things, right?
Yeah, and even if
That's
it's
not
not,
our, that's not our scope and state.
Jimmy, does the two commissioners have any budget ourselves?
we don't, we did have at one point, we had one for an education budget, but I don't know
But
if
I
that's
haven't
still
seen it on
maintained.
town meeting floor for a long.
I mean, I haven't seen it in the budget line item anyplace.
yeah, we can oversee the enterprise fund, but we don't have any piece of it.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
And that's part of the mix-up. I get confused with the financing and what the charters are saying, the charters.
Well.
But Scott can request an engineering review
Yes,
of
yeah,
the
Our,
rules and
of the
regulations.
rules and regulations we come up with, they
That's
can,
right.
Scott K can ask for
right,
funds to
exactly.
Review
But-
that,
professionally review it.
that's right.
But see, to that meeting,
Okay, thank you.
how do we know that, well, we're supposed to put a pipe in here? Wouldn't that come from him and then that answer? No?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't know to say I need a 12-inch pipe, or an 8-inch pipe, or whatever. And then have him go through the exercise of saying, no, you need this. Why don't we have that side, the educational side of this, and an engineering firm say, this is what has to be done. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, so instead of us reviewing the rules and regulations, let's have a professional do it to start.
Well, let's take a look at them first to see what they contain. They could
Okay.
very well be beyond the actual component of
We might
digging a
wanna
hole
just
and
throw them all
connecting.
Yeah.
Could very well
Yeah.
want to start.
I mean, the bylaw review committee, they found things like you can't
Scare a horse.
park your horse on the sidewalk, you
Just
can't
do that
stack
next
coal.
Well, it's necessary, you should have, keep that in there.
I was at the post office, I had to do that.
So we have another project, Scott, to review the rules and regulations.
Oh, God, yeah, I reviewed them once already. I went through them with, Moran, Miss Moran.
Are they up to date as far as specs, regulations?
I haven't,
There was a lot of things, like we crossed out, like some of the verbiage was horrible, and but we went through, there was one that was like, you could we had the ability to shut off someone's sewage. I was like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not shutting off, like, the ability to
Was
someone
those
to flush
rules
their toilet, and so it backs up in their house and causes environmental disaster, and,
We had a bigger problem.
right, and I'm
Were
like,
those rules and regulations or bylaws?
they,
She was here only to review bylaws.
it was in the bylaws then.
Yes.
Okay,
So could you lay your hands on a copy of the rules and regulations? So,
Which are not bylaws.
yeah, not,
I'll
so,
look, I'm sure.
yeah, so, because you weren't here, Ginny and I met with Derek Sullivan last week, and he had requested, before you got here, a copy of the rules and regulations, and someone over here dug out 2 copies. There were 2
Binders.
binders, and they didn't agree with each other, they were different, and no one knew which ones were applicable, which ones were the ones enforced. So, I don't know if there's an electronic version of rules and regulations, if you only have, I mean, so this,
I
there's
thought
the
towns
chart.
work off bylaws, rules and regulations are set by the state, right?
No,
No,
No.
rules and regulations set by here, us.
But regardless, I'm not shutting anyone's sewer off.
And the only one that shut somebody's sewer off was the guy that owned the, country store up
Yeah, you pour concrete down the sewer line.
Oh, hold on.
so
there. Mark off and move on.
could you look to see if you have a copy of the rules and regulations?
I will, yeah, I'll try to find something.
Okay.
I went through the bylaws, that's right, I went through all the bylaws. Can't wait to see the rules and regulations.
The other thing I found when I was looking at the bylaws for conservation commissions, I just had a big PDF for the whole town's bylaws, and I just did a search for conservation. And I found that, yeah, we have our own bylaw section, but we're also mentioned, what was it, Sandy, like 12 or 13 other
Yeah.
sections. So we need to do a similar search of the bylaws for sewer, because they may be involved in other things like not sanitary sewers, but with storm sewers, for example, and there's other things. We need to make sure that we are aware if we're responsible for other areas of the town's bylaws instead of just the one that applies to us.
Good point.
Hurrah.
Okay. Did we get off the agenda at all there, Jimmy?
No, we just slid around it a little bit, we just worked a couple of other things.
Well, these are all budget priorities.
Payments, I'm not sure what Bob wanted to talk about there.
Is that Waterline being the company we have a contract for,
Yeah.
or is that something else?
Waterline is the construction company that's doing the works and clarifies.
So this may be some abatements to the contract?
No, abatements are one thing, Waterline is a second.
Oh, two separate, we
Yeah,
wanted to
that's
That's
talk
why
about.
the columns in there. The Waterline is, that was just gonna be an update on the meeting that they had last week. We have a meeting once a month with Waterline.
Yeah, he gave us a copy of all the minutes.
Yes, you got that. And then the other thing I did was the charter article that Sandy sent. And I think we,
I updated it with the explanation that Scott provided.
Which Scott, me?
Scott. Should I say Dr.
Yeah,
Scott
he goes by
provided?
doctor,
Dr.
Yeah.
Scott provided versus Scott K.
I go by Mr. President.
Or dictator, depending on the, yeah.
Be
Sorry.
Be careful about president of what.
That's right, President of poop.
As Alan calls me head shit. I got that title.
Nice. President of frustration.
Jimmy, do you want to talk about our meeting on the charter, or do you want me to talk about
we
it?
can talk about it next time.
Okay, well, as I mentioned, we met with Derek Sullivan, but also with the town council, general counsel, and his feeling was that 90% of what we were asking for in the charter change, we already have the ability to do that. His feeling was also any new technologies that come along that have to do with infrastructure, that would be, I guess, common infrastructure rather than individual residential or commercial infrastructure, would be under our purview. Any individual infrastructure, so an individual residence or commercial property or whatever, would be under the Board of Health. So he wants to think about charter changes some more, but doesn't want to make any action on it at this time. Jimmy, is that fair?
Pretty much right on, yes.
Okay, and I didn't want to really argue the point, but I think that leaving the gap as I see it, perhaps as we see it, we lose the impetus to move forward on consideration of these other technologies because nobody's in charge of them. So unless we take a firm hold of these emerging technologies, and some of them overlap, some of them would definitely be applicable to both common infrastructure and to individual infrastructure.
Keeping in mind that a lot of this emerging technology, unless it's approved by the state of Mass, it's worthless.
Well, it can't
Regardless of how good it is,
be, yeah, it can't be implemented.
it can't be implemented in Massachusetts.
So
You've got to realize, there's a big stumbling block there because we've looked at some remote plants systems that were in operation in other areas that aren't approved by the state of Massachusetts.
yeah. So where I didn't go with our discussion that I thought about it was, well, what if you have something like the technology that ties 2 residences together or 4 businesses together? Is that common infrastructure or is that individual infrastructure? So it's clear if one house is connected to one septic system or 1,000 houses are connected to a sewer system, those are clear. But there are areas in between that may need to be further defined.
So I guess what you're suggesting or pointing out is mobile home parks.
Potentially mobile home park, maybe with their own small system.
Or planning to us, but how
Or-
some are and some aren't.
We had 2 duplexes on Onset Ave that we put into one sewer line.
Right.
So that was 4 dwellings that went into one sewer line.
Yeah, so is that common infrastructure or is that individual infrastructure? So I think there's more to go with this conversation.
I agree on that.
And but at least we know where the town's lawyer is thinking at this moment. But I think he was open. I think that the little paragraph at the bottom that I wrote, that was new to him, and that he hadn't thought about these issues before, and now he's thinking about them. So I think we're making progress. We're just not ready to move yet on charter changes.
Okay, we need to rescind the vote we made on June 26th. On June 26th, we said that we would adopt the bylaw, we called them bylaw changes at 400 and send it on to review. So we need to, well, I guess we can still adopt it, but we're just not sending it to town meeting, so we can stay there. We can adopt these, we're just not doing anything with them.
And then, then from the discussion that we had, and looking forward to some of the Scott just brought up, we maybe want to do a little revision on this as we go along.
Yeah, I think that's right. So I think we're gonna have more conversations.
Absolutely.
But I think aspirationally, we need to keep this in front of us. Okay?
My note said we will hold the article and not submit it.
That's sounds about right.
And now for Mr. President.
Yes.
Mr. President.
I know I had missed a couple of meetings there. So one of the things I wanted to bring up is that in early August, the plant had a catastrophic failure of the entire biological system. And we've traced it back to quaternary ammonium being added into the plant at enough volume that the entirety of our EQ basin, which is a 1 million gallon basin, was at 50 parts per million, 50 milligrams per liter. And that's substantial. Quaternary ammonium at 4 milligrams per liter will really make our bacteria sick, if not kill them. Anything above that will absolutely kill them. So we nearly lost the entire plant, which would have been an absolute disaster for the river. We were able to maintain most of the treatment, but we did for a period of time put out more nutrients than you normally would want from this plant. And there was nothing we could do about it except to work through it. We've since talked to people within the town to kind of pinpoint the timing of what's going on, and we were able to determine kind of where it came from. So in the future, we'll be able to work with the town departments so that we can prevent it from happening again. But we, for about 3 weeks, we were just chasing our tails. And then, oddly enough, last week we got one more dose of it. And it
Where
upset
from?
We're from
There
How
will be a
where?
few places that will use it, not quantities of quaternary ammonium compounds.
Okay, what's that chemical used for?
Sterilization,
Yeah, it's the best antibacterial hard surface cleaner on the
surgery
planet.
room, surgical.
Medical
use.
facilities that need a clean room.
It could have been, so we're not 100%
Okay,
sure, but we have a pretty good,
A facility that needs clean rooms.
including institutions.
So okay, now we know what it is, so to speak, where it may come from. Do we know exactly where it comes from?
It's not, I'm not 100% sure. We're
Yes.
about 90% sure in conversations with the people from the town department. We're pretty sure everything lines up exactly with what happened. And again, we got a smaller dose last week, so we had another
Can you
upset
tell
week.
us?
Well, what town
I
department?
don't think the where is important, but the fact that we were able to discuss it and have good communication and be able to determine, hey, when we do this in the future, here's what we can do. So
Is this gonna be a repetitive spot?
it didn't happen last year.
Has that ever happened before? Well, you
It has happened before, I was told, not in my time though.
Do we have processes in place to make sure that it doesn't happen again? I'm sure. I mean, how do
We
you,
could do our best. I can't tell you so in other words, let's say it was Toby Hospital, which it wasn't. I don't believe it was. It could have been. I don't believe it was. Let's say it was Toby Hospital. It's going to be hard unless I have good communication with the people that are potentially putting that kind of product down there, to know how to treat it. Now I can treat it once I find out it hit us. But unfortunately, it takes a couple of days for us to really see the result, and then by then our bacteria is sick. But I have
that it's hit us, or your remedy is,
the remedy will work pretty darn quick. But again, once it hits our system, now it's mingled with
everything else?
multiple millions of gallons of sewage that is treated with our activated sludge bacteria, and is already making it sick, if not killing it. So it happens slowly because it kind of bleeds into the system, and the recovery is slow also. But I can, once I find it's coming in, I can start treating it to at least make the first shot a little less substantial.
How do you know that it's quaternary ammonium
We
compounds?
sampled for it.
You sampled for it.
Yes. We went to our EQ base and we sampled for it. So we found it.
Did you look for other things too, like heavy metals?
Based on what I was seeing, in my experience, and the odor that was coming from the entire plant, I could tell it was a cleaning material. And we did find a wet well that matched the odor.
Okay.
So
Now there
So
are,
you went around
Yeah.
you went around from pump station to
The
pump
pump station.
stations to smell the wet well.
yeah, we
So
just,
you knew what fed into those pump stations.
again, was that the 100% hit? I'm
But
about
a good
90%
feel
certain.
for-
Yeah. So my confidence is good, but I'm not ready to, kick in people's doors, right? It's just, it happened. I wanted to put it on camera. It caused a near catastrophe at the plant. We put a lot of time in to recover, but we have recovered, and the system is back up and running wonderfully. But we had another rough week last week, and all of a sudden it snapped right back. So
Is the source or sources of this, have they been, been spoken to and given?
Yeah, like I said, I had great communication, feedback. I received SDSs for some of the materials used, so I feel pretty good.
But it happened again.
So I think what happened was we got the last bit of it that was stuck in that wetland.
Was Scully's from the same original sources, or was it now a new source popping up?
I believe it was the same source.
So here, when you review the rules and regulations, here's another thing to add. What can you do with quaternary ammonium compounds, for example, for disposal? Right, I mean,
There is nothing that says you can't flush it down the toilet.
I know, but
I prefer you didn't, but there's nothing that says you can't.
But that's where the rules and regulations come in. Like you can't
Well,
over a certain amount or concentration or whatever it is. Well, we can do that. We can add.
we can ask.
We can add those. Well, we can add those things into the rules and regulations. Obviously, it's going to interfere with the operation of the plant. It can't be allowed
So here's the
in those
problem.
concentrations.
Your greatest green products on the market, your new hard surface cleaners, the Meyer stuff, the nice smelling stuff, that, it's green, loaded with quaternary ammonium. Why is it green? Because it kills bacteria. No one wants bacteria, but it's a green product.
But we want the bacteria.
I know, yeah.
Now, there are pseudomonads that will break down quaternary ammonium compounds. And the reason I know this is because a number of years ago, there were surgical theaters that were getting Pseudomonas infections, Pseudomonas aeruginosa. And when they looked in the containers for the concentrated quaternary ammonium compounds, they found bacteria using that as a carbon source. So it is possible to, for bacteria to break these compounds down, but it's a very rare event.
Yeah. I'd be using hydrogen peroxide.
So we've got product being marketed to the general public saying it will clean everything. Use it and it impacts the ability of our plant to break down the product we receive.
There are thousands of products that do this.
Just like-
Myers.
Just like out there.
Oh, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
if you look on the back,
Does
you'll
smell-
see
It smells pretty, that's why I use it.
there's 6 typical quaternary ammonium compounds that are used, and you'll see one of the 6 or 2 of the 6 even. And if it says, just to give you an example, but an example would be, let's say it's 1% quaternary ammonium. Sounds small. That's 10,000 parts per million. So that's a lot. It's not small.
So, did you test it? You don't test for that here. You must send
I
that
did.
out. You tested it?
Oh no! Sorry, I did send that out. Yes, that went to a lab.
And they said, surprise,
I have the results. Yeah.
you got a problem. Just like everybody, flushable wipes. I'm sorry, they're not flushable wipes, no matter what it says
If you
on the
make it down
package.
the drain.
Yes. You clean that baby, you don't throw it down the drain.
Anyway, another
Well, that wasn't-
the system, it has responded and corrected itself, and the staff and crew worked tirelessly to make it happen.
Is there anything that gives you a head up that it's happening?
Yeah, we can see it in the slides. We can see the color. We have we can do the microscopy and see that our bugs are not moving.
You can test yourself.
Yeah.
So it's,
We can tell that we're in trouble. Let's put it that
It's
way.
after the fact.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So, well, yeah, I think it's not right, rules and regulation.
Do you keep stocks of the bacteria frozen somewhere like -80 or something? So if you need to reseed, you can do that.
where'd you get the extra bacteria from? Just
It
let
recovered. Yeah, it will recover. It's a fairly simple process. The nitrifiers come in first, and then the denitrifiers were the first ones to get affected, and then the nitrifiers were the second affected.
Wow. That's scary.
So-
They could have lost the whole plant. Because someone flushed what they shouldn't have flushed.
And our nice, usually we have a brownish, dark brown color sludge that turns grayish white.
Is that,
It got to the point that it actually killed our moss that grows on the edge of the clarifiers, that nice green moss that we were always scraping it off anyway, but it turned it white and black. It was quite fascinating. Whatever hit us really hard.
could that be why we've had more smell complaints?
I would say so, but at the same time, I've written emails to the neighbors. They were actually supposed to come in and do a tour because I want them to see it. But the Headworks odor control units, which were barely working to begin with, are now completely removed as huge holes inside of the buildings. I really don't have a method to control the odor coming into the Headworks, which is where all the sewage in Wareham comes from. So right now, it's going to be odors.
Do you have an idea of how much in parts per million or parts per billion the bacterial cultures out here will tolerate of these quaternary ammonium compounds?
From the studies I've read previously, 4 milligrams per liter is about the max.
So 4 ppm.
Yeah.
Okay. We might try to do the math and come up with what would legally, if we do the rules and regulations, what people could actually, flush or wash down the drain or whatever it is.
Toilet paper.
As opposed to
Really?
bamboo paper?
It's really difficult to do that. It would
Quaternary
be,
ammonium compounds.
so every triple wash sink in town for the restaurants is using a triple wash sink with quaternary ammonium. You can ask them to use chlorine products, but chlorine breaks down over time. Then you start to get people sick.
Right.
They like the triple wash sinks that it has it stays. You can keep using it over and over and still kill the bacteria on the plate.
And what are they using it against, Scott?
That's the triple wash sinks for
Yeah,
washing
yeah.
silverware and plates and everything else.
Yeah.
And
Versus
they use
using-
it in every single institution and hospital and the restaurants.
They're required,
You
Just
require
about-
health requires it.
the board of health issue.
So,
Well, again, the alternative is something that you have to keep up with. A chlorine-based cleaner. Well, you have to keep up with it because even just sitting there is going to start to degrade.
Right.
And
So-
more organic material put in, the faster the chlorine breaks down.
Right. So it's just a it's been a non-starter. I've gone through it with old age homes before, and that they kept killing that system every day.
But we
That's why I
still,
knew what the effluent looked like, and it looked exactly like that.
we still have to have limits though, because we can't afford to have the plant go down every summer because people are using these other compounds. It's gonna have to be more of a conversation than just here.
I'm sure all
I think again, when you have a big cleaning in an institution, that's when I need to know it's happening.
so
If someone will put in a triple wash sink because we're such a big system, we can deal with it.
so something like a school system, go in and get ready for school, they're washing everything down? Is that what they would
or
use?
nursing home?
That's a really
School
good
buses.
guess.
Huh?
That's a really good guess.
I don't know. Okay.
Yes, that would affect that. Yes.
Very good, Gary. Well thought. I was thinking more nursing homes, etc. But since it's this time of the year, what happens this time of the year? They prepare.
And they may not be using it properly either. They may not be diluting it properly, they may be using it at a higher strength than
I
they're
mean,
supposed to.
Literally like a mop bucket.
Oh, yeah.
The stuff you put in the mop bucket, absolutely, that's gonna be quaternary ammonium. Why? Because it's the best. You keep pulling the mop in and out, and it's still gonna clean.
Yeah, but they may be asking for a cap full, and they may be just dumping.
Oh, yeah.
That's exactly what
I
happens.
think it's this much. Yeah, I think it is too.
Is it red yet? No.
Yeah.
Wow. So you've been
Interesting.
challenged all of August.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Well done. I bet you didn't. I
It
bet
wasn't
you
really a
lost.
choice
I
in
bet
that.
you lost.
I was thinking about walking away. I was like, you know what?
But
It's gonna be about-
all the proper officials in town should be notified about this.
Does anybody know about
I've
this?
discussed.
Alright.
Yeah. That's-
With the Board of Health?
Not the Board of Health.
Derek?
They have nothing to do with what goes down to our sewer.
Who else? Derek?
It's discussed
Select.
with Derek. Yep. I'm not going to select now. Discuss
Would
with
not-
Derek.
So
Would be.
it's up to Derek and that's good. All right.
How were employment levels? You were down to,
We're good. We're
yes,
still in good shape.
How many do you have full-time employees now?
I have to recount. I think we're down to 16 or 17, which is still substantial considering history. But what's nice is the people that we have remaining are, their skill level is growing by the minute, and they're able to accomplish more than the 22 that we had previously.
Yeah, I'm just trying to track.
Yeah.
22, 14, 16.
There's not a lot of matriculation, it's just you lose people move on.
Okay.
Someone got a great opportunity, they're gonna go to school and become a lineman for Eversource, which is a great opportunity, you can't turn that down.
Right.
I would kick them, not, I would really do have to go.
Anything else? Of course, what else after this?
By the way, I did some research on that collapse as well, and I had a suspicion it might be bacteriophages, although populations are so varied, it's unlikely that that would be the case. But there are cases in Europe where the sewer plants have lost their populations because they get a phage infection. So,
This was not that. We had the opposite of infection.
disinfection.
Yeah, we had a full disinfection. Cleanest plant in history.
Any unanticipated items? Okay, our next meeting will be September 25th, 6:30, multi-service center. And now we'll
At 6:30,
6:30, yes ma'am.
5:20.
Affirmative.
Move to adjourn at
2:03.
2:03.
Okay, to the workshop. And we take a short break here. Okay.
You good?
Okay, call the workshop to order. Do something,
2:07.
do something, thank you. And a roll call, please.
Terry Pastor.
Scott Sophie.
Sandy Slavin.
Ginger Brody. Okay. First thing I want to go over is the sewer billing insert. That was mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Now, before I get into the blue sheet itself, my first question would be, do we really need it? People look it over, do we really need this? Because we do have this available, everything online. Now, one of the issues that we have on this blue sheet was Sewer Commissioner's website. The Sewer Commissioner's website is wpcf@wareham.gov.
Now, I sent an
It's not
email.
the Sewer Commissioners.
I sent an email to wpcf@wareham.gov and absolutely nobody responded to me, so I have no idea where it goes.
I'm not sure myself at this point, because this is what I was informed.
But if anybody else would like to try it, it went nowhere.
So,
I didn't know what to do.
We'll have to double check that, thank you, Sandy, I didn't know that.
It's called testing.
Yeah, good. Wasn't the place to do it at the time.
Did I not respond to that?
Mm-hmm.
So if I get something that says testing, I always respond to it.
I was testing something for conservation.
Okay.
so what is, go back, Jim, what is the website for us?
For us, it's supposed to be wpcf@wareham.gov.
That's not our website.
Email address.
That's an email address.
Yeah.
Our website is we go into the town of
I got
Wareham
that, okay.
under committee.
Email, yeah.
So this is an email, not a website.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're right, it's the email. That's the one that
Hey, Tony?
we didn't have.
So the bigger question is,
Oh, awesome.
and you mentioned, do we need to have a newsletter at all? Who writes it? Who approves it? What does it contain? All those questions. I think it's a good idea to have an insert with the bill. We don't do very much communication with the public, this is, but it doesn't have to be this every time. I mean, I think that this idea of flushable wipes ought to be in there.
Change it.
Yeah.
So it isn't, this is a duplicate, what we got 6 months ago. The only thing that changed was Wareham.gov as opposed to MA.US.
Correct, so if you go back to, Scott, I totally agree that maybe I would do this one every 3 months, because the junkie public doesn't go on the website and look for information, when they get a bill, they will not deal with this stuff, this, right?
It comes out every 6 months.
Right. So if we, I'm just throwing something,
Yeah.
my personal thought, every 3 months, every quarter, all right? But then you can get into the things that we're talking about to notify the public about what we're doing.
What do you think it cost us to do a mailing? It is extremely expensive, which is why we insert in the bill every 6 months.
That's what I'm saying.
You say 3 months, I'm
That's
saying
the bill,
myself.
the bill.
It goes with the bill.
That's right.
And I think
I had a bill from Chubb's, sorry.
And I think it'd be a lot better, it could be a picture of the guys working on the new clarifiers, and, I mean, it can be done a lot better than this. It's gonna be a newsletter, a lot more relevant and certainly updated.
I like that concept,
So we changed the topics, well, some of them will be the same, change the topics every 6
but
months.
we have a picture of the new plant, new building, people can see what's taking place, right?
Yeah.
Here's a picture of profile of Scott Kay, same one you see it.
So
Sorry.
basically, what the suggestion is, as I'm hearing, is that we eliminate this and go to a newsletter.
Well, this is,
No,
this
I'm not
says,
hearing that.
this says newsletter at the top.
This is the newsletter.
This is the newsletter, but it can be done a lot better,
Yes,
especially once we hire somebody, right?
yes, cosmetically speaking.
Yeah, so it's a 6-month newsletter. I'm not saying get rid of it. I'm
I'm
just
not
saying
saying you are.
refresh it. No, Jimmy was thinking,
Well, when I say get rid of it, I mean get rid of this,
Yes.
not the
Yes.
concept.
You update it, replace it.
Occasionally, you have to update it.
don't use this again until we have something.
Right.
Updated.
And I think the other thing to think about that, I agree,
Because the stuff on here right now that is probably,
incorrect.
well, not just incorrect, but
Outdated?
taking up space.
Because if
The
you were
first
to,
whole paragraph
if you were to look
doesn't
at,
need to be there.
if you were,
In the grinder pump things, we have so few grinder pumps in town, comparative.
I know,
And it's not,
but if
it
they
doesn't
lost
need
the
to be
power,
in it. That's why it's,
So anyway, one or more of us can look at this and say, look, name address changes, maybe that should be in there all the time, because that's constant, right?
but take a look at the bill.
Okay.
Once you've ripped off the bottom of the bill to send in your payment, what's on the back of the bill? They're more than likely will keep a copy of the back of the bill for reference points. Is there anything on here that can be placed on the back of the bill for a more constant reference point to see if I've got a problem, where do I call, who do I do? So to me, a combination of a newsletter plus the reverse of the bill would be a better way to communicate to them. Because right now, if it says if you want an abatement, guess what? It's on the back of the piece of the bill you turned in with your payment. So you lose that information as to how to apply for abatement because you sent it in with your check.
I think the back of the bill should contain nothing more than for further information, contact the sewer department with the email address, with the
Website.
website address rather, and with a phone number. In the story,
Well,
all of the information that's contained in here at the present time is available on the website. And the phone number for those people that don't have,
I think it's something that a sewer user who gets both documents should be doing the review. Because they're the ones who will not have power if they if they have a problem. They won't be able to go online if they don't have power. So there has to be more on the back of the piece of paper that's their bill.
like a
That
phone
helps.
number.
Phone number, or what phone number?
But
Well, the office isn't here 24/7.
Scott's personal
Yeah.
mobile
Yeah,
phone.
absolutely.
So you're talking about the back of the bill, above where you turn it in, you tear
Yes.
off the bottom, turn that in, and you keep the back.
So you take a look at your sewer bill and see what's left over it that I'm filing. I filed with my paid bills, what's left for information versus what I lost
So,
when I paid my bill.
so what you're saying is we have two opportunities. We have this, and we have the back of the bill.
And the back of the bill can give some of this information so it doesn't get included on the blue.
Are you saying it's on the remittance portion now, is that the information?
On the remittance is what they has for a rebate,
Oh, so they send it in, yeah.
abatement. So they sent it in and no longer have it.
Right.
I complained about this a couple of years ago.
Why didn't you get a result?
So,
I'm just asking.
I think I asked the chair.
is this something the commission is working on, or is this something that the department should be working
I think we can take a look at it and make a recommendation,
on? Okay.
because we know that there is not staff here to do this type of stuff, and we're getting a feel for what we might like to see. I can't say you the staff is on sewer, whether or not they can make a relationship as to the two sources of information.
But if we want to be the best sewer department in the entire East Coast, what are the key critical success factors we have to be good at? One is communication.
Communication.
To the public.
Yeah.
So, right, so that's what we'll discuss at the next meeting, but right, that's part of that. Figure out how to do it. Who should do it, et cetera, et cetera.
So is this, Scott, is this something you inherited from the part staff?
Yeah, and I've never received a bill, so I didn't.
When I went down to check it, they said, oh yeah, it comes from the sewer department. Well, it's the same as we always send out. Well,
I mean, there's stuff on it that I'm like,
It's,
alright,
it's,
That's a joint.
this could all be consolidated to the website.
it's wrong, it's only,
Now, some people don't have access to the website either. And the people in my
Or
community
don't know
don't
how
have a
to.
computer at all.
Yep.
So,
Blue dates.
yeah.
Check the back of the sewer bill for information and
All
compare.
right, so we can talk about that being a critical success factor, i.e. communication,
So, yeah,
right?
so what we're suggesting while you're out, Scott, is that this can be updated with maybe like a picture of the new clarifiers and guys working on the pumps or whatever it is, so people have a visual connection with what's happening over here. Their sewer funds are going into these improvements.
we can talk about, as opposed to contact for an update on any project. Well, how about giving an update on the project in the
Exactly.
document?
Yeah.
Because I went to the website and I couldn't find an update on the project other than 2011. That was a little on the old side.
Little.
That was the link that was available on the website.
Okay,
So we don't need a motion to do that, we're just gonna do it.
Well, one of the things we're going to do is put down we were supposed to put down a list of at least 5 things we want to do, and this has
priorities,
become,
potential issues.
What is the date of the next sewer bill?
probably,
6 months.
well, we just got it, so I would say we've got to
You think
look
about
within
it.
a 4-month window, because it takes a while to print.
So, this should be on the agenda then for,
In October, November.
the end of October.
We need to, Jimmy, can you check with the Treasury Department as to the actual mailing, the stuffing date for the sewer bills?
Yep.
Jimmy's to confirm the date it's stuffed.
Wow, that sounds,
I'm not gonna touch that.
I think it's not Australia.
I'm not even gonna touch that.
To confirm the date and the insert is needed.
So, Scott, if you have good pictures or whatever, if you're around the plant and you see something that you'd like to see go out to the public as a nice photograph of your guys working, keep that in mind.
Okay.
I know we're not gonna consider cost.
Well, it's just gonna be one sheet anyway.
Yes.
So, but if we have you're right, if we have a color
It can't.
versus a black and white, it's gonna cost more.
Yeah, we can't, yeah. And whether or not blue, maybe think of a different color,
Scott,
I think yellow or
Or,
bright.
or white.
No, not white. It gets easily thrown away.
Alright.
But a color, an easier color. So the idea is that Jimmy will give us a date when the insert is needed, and based on that response, we'll say when we want to come up with a draft of both what goes in the back of the bill and what goes in the insert.
So let's start working on that ASAP, because November's right around the corner.
Yeah, sure
And
is.
the way we move it, getting things done sometimes.
Jimmy, can you also ask
Glacial.
who creates the bills as to when we can modify what's on the back of the bill? Who prints the bills?
Well, they gotta use an outside agency.
No, and controls what's on the back.
I'm sure they're gonna say we do,
Who's we? Us?
sewer department. Whatever you wanted to designate as the sewer department, that's an answer I'm not gonna get.
Oh, I gotcha.
So,
But if we want, so
you
if
got
we,
what you want from there.
Well, we gotta develop the format, and the front of the bill's not gonna change, the back of the
No.
bill's not gonna change.
we need to know who controls the back of the bill and when it has to be printed.
Yeah.
Because I just paid my bill, so I don't know what I ripped off and I am reimbursed when I sent in my,
I don't pay my bills, so I don't worry
Toss that circular file.
about it. I have to pay myself.
I don't know where this WPCF and where DocGov goes.
All right.
Okay, do we have, does anybody think of or have a list of what we want to see as a standard for agendas? We want to see
Oh.
each month?
Is that on here?
That was, no, Jim,
Well,
that was part of the
that's
question.
priorities.
Priorities and that stuff, and ask people the goals, targets,
Yeah.
projects. And I think we could discuss that in the next meeting. This is a list of, you know, very, very common from everybody, common denominator.
Yeah.
Of what people said. And I'm sure we can add and delete to this
Yeah.
when we discuss it.
You want to control that master?
I have right here. yes.
What's on your list, and I can tell you what's on my list.
Why does yours matter? It's, I have them, it's from all four of you. You
No,
did.
no, I'm talking, we were told to put together, what was it said?
Those.
Workshop, make a list of the top 5 projects you want to do. And that's not,
I took it as one of the projects we were working on, so we would have an update every week,
see,
once a month.
I
All
told
right.
you, let me share you my projects.
That's what we have.
What are your projects?
I would like, other than review of the bylaws and the charter and stuff like that, I want an update on the abatements. How many people, what happened to the last time we got people off the abatement and charged them? What happened? People were turned on and using water but still being abated. What happened to that list? And ongoing, how are we going to keep update with everybody get abatements to make sure they still have no water? Because we found people who were using water and sewer and not paying. I want to have an update on what to do with the fog. I want to make sure we have inspection for all the grease traps around. Because we're getting too much grease.
That's Board of Health.
No, Guy said Board of Health would be doing it. It was always sewer department doing the inspections, but we ran out of resources and we asked the Board of Health. So if the Board of Health are doing it, why aren't they reporting to us on their findings when they inspect grease? They're not. And why not?
Are they inspecting?
Well, that's, Guy said it was. Who followed up with Board of Health? Guy might have said it, Board of Health may not have known they had that job. So I want to make sure that we're doing a good job on our fog, on our grease traps.
So, just so I understand what your homework was versus my homework. Is this an update you'd like to see, an update on those subject matters on the monthly agendas?
No, it's
Well, I
a
want to
project.
see the agendas, that's what I'm looking
As a
for.
result, that's different than what you have.
Okay. Here's another thing, I thought of this as an ongoing project. Here are some things I wanna do, nothing to do with agenda. All right, we know we have a fairly long list of unconnected properties within Seward area. I wanna know what's happening with getting all those items connected.
I got
To
you.
me, that's a project for me, is how do we get the unconnected properties connected?
Right. So what would you like to call that? subject
Well,
matter?
I'd be happy to, I wanna say connecting unconnected.
All right,
Because you send out an email and the mail was not picked up or was not delivered or whatever, and we'll follow up because they're getting their tax bills, why aren't they accepting the notice of okay, grease traps was my another one. I want a constant update with what's happening with the Narrows Main.
That's
goals.
a goal, that
That's
makes
a goal.
sense.
I mean,
makes-
That makes sense.
that's one of the things I was worried
Yeah.
about, is I'm not comfortable with where we are with Narrows, who could break at any time.
Yes.
Of
So,
course,
yeah, I read our assignment from Carrie the same way that you did, that because this is how I interpreted your comments from last time, was that we tend to deal with things that come up.
As they come up.
As you call it the hider, Jimmy, and it's a good way to put it. We need to, okay, this contract, we need to look at that article, whatever it is. But those tend to slip out of our view if we don't keep them on the agenda. So we can have an old business section or continuing business or whatever it is, and we can have a new section, new business section. So I took it as what we want to keep in mind on all of our agendas until they're finally resolved, so that they don't slip out of view. Carrie, I think is that a fair way of summing up?
I call it a scorecard, yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Let's see, that would be an old business, yes.
so part of it,
Include that.
I'm looking for the status of the abatements. I'm looking for the status of the grease traps. I'm looking for the status of our connecting properties within Seward area. You got the idea of, we know rules, regulations, bylaws, charter, that's part of it. But,
I understand.
so, I'm just, the idea of communication, don't flush the flushables, they don't disintegrate in town. But it's that type of stuff, it's been this long time since we talked about connecting and who hasn't connected, and we haven't really pushed it. So, I mean, part of me is, okay, here's a list of your abatements, here are the addresses. I was thinking every once in a while I'd drive around and look at the address to see what's on that site. You know, that type of thing. Visually look at the abatement locations. I mean, that type of follow-up. That's what I was thinking.
All right, I'll put them on this list, I'm writing them down here.
And review the EDU usage, EDU rates. We keep talking about it, we never seem to get very far on updating our EDU, because we charge an EDU for each bay at Midas Muffler. For each bay, an EDU. Now the question is, Guy was saying, well, that's because it's how we have to treat the product when they wash their hands, but most of these people are now using gloves. So you don't have the hand washing of grease like you used to have. So the idea of an EDU for each bay for Midas Muffler or any of the other mechanical.
So we talked about having a hybrid system, and this is my assignment, Jimmy gave me this assignment to review the EDUs. And we did talk about this some, the idea of having in a commercial property a system based on flow rates, on water usage, and for residential, keeping it to the EDUs.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I didn't have time to work on that during the summer, but it was one of my goals is to pick that up again in the fall, start making some models based on the data that Bob has given us. So I do want to pick that up again.
Thank you, because this one, yeah, we talked about it and then it just sort of petered.
Right, and it's on my list of
So your
7
list.
or 8 items, not
Yeah.
5, sorry.
So those were my particular hot topics that I wanted us to not forget.
Okay,
Well, you don't mind?
yes,
All right. And I'm sure that Scott has his list too. Number 1 for me is budget process.
Say it again.
Budget process.
Oh, yeah, it's on the list already.
Number 2 for me is Narrows, Maine. 3 is review of rules, regulations, bylaws, and charter to see how they all work together. And
I had charters was a common, been out there for.
charters, bylaws, and rules and regs. We have all 3 of those.
Yeah.
Number 4 is funding of the CWMP. It doesn't do us any good to spend $479,000, whatever it was, for that contract to make the CWMP if we don't fund it and move it along.
Yeah.
5, interdepartmental communication and cooperation. So this is with public health, with the planning authority, with conservation commission, whoever else is involved in and maybe even other towns, instead of saying just us, how do we relate with the other groups? Number 6 is review the EDU, and then I have this other idea, and that is, and I don't know how to put this exactly, but you know, Scott now with his crew, they have some sophisticated equipment for looking into the field lines with the cameras and so on, or like blockages and what's the status of the pipes and all that stuff. You can check do all that with the public. But I'm wondering about things like the mobile home parks. They have a private sewer system that connects into the public sewer system. And I'm wondering if something bad happens there, will it translate downstream and affect a pump station, for example?
What do you mean by that?
I don't know.
Chemicals.
Chemicals, a collapse of the system, blockages, breakdown, whatever.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue we would have is large flow. Actually, the first year I was here, we got a massive amount of flow over the course of like February, March. I'm like, what's going on? It was into January, February, March. And what happens is with the manufactured homes is that underneath the home is all the water lines. And
They keep it
leave the
running-
water
running over.
running so they don't freeze. It's an old trick. But unfortunately, it resulted in a lot of water. It was 50,000 gallons a day we were just taking on, sometimes more. And then I popped a manhole where everything comes into the system from there. Crystal clear water like a river. Just coming through. I'm like,
As
this
opposed
is a lot.
to draining their pipes, they keep them open. Even if they're living in it, they will keep them open because it keeps. So,
Shouldn't they be below the frost line though?
No, because it has to come up. The house is elevated
Yeah,
up.
slab.
It has a crawl space of
Yeah.
about 3 feet.
Up to the slab.
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to expand on that. I want to do I&I. I want to see the results of all the cameraing around. Do we have any other I&I sites we can address and reduce the inflow? So write it down, I&I,
I-N-I.
influx and inflow, where we're getting in fresh or salt water and finding ourselves treating it. And Scott's done a great job at Swiss Beach to correcting it. But then on top of that, I think we need to know of all of the mobile home parks in the town of Wareham, how many are connected to sewer?
Yeah, so.
So mobile home parks connected to sewer
Or
or not connected.
I would call it private systems.
Private.
So, for example, where I live, it's not a mobile home park, but it's a private system that flows into the public system. And as far as I know, since it was installed in 1990, it's never been checked for And I know that some people have had issues, they've had to dig up individual stubs and all that kind of stuff, but the whole system has not been checked. And I just worry if there's something that can happen that would affect the public system if it's not properly maintained.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. One of the things I noticed when I got here is we have this Rudex system in place where people come and they got roots in their lines, which block the lines, and we give them Rudex. Well, if the roots got into the line, then there's a crack.
Yep.
So I prefer we repair the line versus just getting rid of the roots
Oh, I do mine every 3 years.
with Rudex.
Yeah.
Well,
Whether it's
okay,
or
well,
not,
every time it rains, most likely you're also getting water into the system through
That's
the cracks
your I.
that the roots come through, right? If the root can make it through, the water can certainly make it through.
It's
And if you've got low-lying areas like down in Onset
Hamilton Beach.
or Swiss Beach, Hamilton Beach, if you've got roots in your line,
Which we do.
then high tide you might be getting non-stop water in there. And next thing you know, we're treating salt water. I can see when we get infiltration from the salt water because the seagulls show up. It's like, all right, we got more ocean than we have sewage. So,
so it's a biological indicator.
How
yeah.
much have you been able to camera? You were working on it,
Yeah, we're getting a new camera. We have not done a lot this summer, to be
but
honest.
prior to that, you were on your way to doing
We're doing a lot.
a lot, a good number.
So the question is, should it just be the public systems or should the private systems that are tied in
I-
also be included?
I would not suggest having the town employees go on private property. Okay, and that's where I have an issue, regarding this blue sheet to talk about the grinder pumps. Well, the grinder pumps aren't in the street; they're in people's backyards. So now you want us to pull up with a generator and hook into someone's
That's exactly
private pump.
why,
Our staff isn't.
that's why Swiss Beach went wild and Hamilton Beach went wild, and they knew that we were gonna be responsible if we had to grind pumps.
I was going to go out.
Right.
Oh my God, that's a lot of.
So what about requiring these private systems to hire a private contractor to check the systems?
What I would do is stop the Rudex program. Sorry.
Why is that not?
We're providing the solution to a break in a pipe. Breaking the pipe allows roots to come into the pipe because
Right.
there's a chronic source of water there. That's what the root wants to get to. Well, the roots back up the pipe. We give them the solution. But put the Rudex down, it eats the roots up and they have a clean pipe again for a couple of years. But you still have a crack in the pipe.
And you don't know.
If we stop the Rudex, they have to go fix the pipe.
Because you have both flow out and you have flow in.
So, not to
So-
be mean, but it's like we've got this program in place that actually allows for broken pipes to be maintained.
So if they have a problem, we tell them, well, you hire somebody and you rotor-root your pipe.
They rotor-root it, but again,
But then it,
temporary solution.
no.
Still have a
But
crack
by
in the pipe.
looking at it, they have to line it.
They don't look at it; they just send a thing down.
I know.
Yeah.
No, but if someone has a problem with flow because of roots, you've looked at it, you know that it's roots, then you have to say to the owner, between your lateral and your home, you are required to repair your pipe.
I guess I'd have to look at the rules and regulations to see if that is a requirement. It should be a requirement.
I'm
but I can't
responsible
tell
for
you that.
what came out of my house to my lateral.
That's correct, but only to make sure it gets to the lateral.
She was Ellen.
So
What, Jimmy?
Yeah, Ellen.
So when you review the rules and regulations, that's something to keep in mind to make sure you have the authority to do that.
Right? I can't. I don't know that I can make someone. All I can do is withhold the solution.
Or you can shut up, apparently you can shut off their sewer.
No.
So if you've got a problem, homeowner, and you've got your rhododendrons on top of your sewer lines, guess what? You have to fix your sewer lines. We're not gonna tell you, we're not gonna give you something to kill the roots. We're gonna you have to come up with your own solution. Anything else on your list?
Not enough.
Yeah. Carrie, how about your list?
I kind of went over earlier, I'd like to see the question I asked Scott's correct, is I was talking about goals and the targets and an update every
Okay.
month, which consisted of, I don't have the list of paper, I just put goals. They talk about the race to the canal, you know, we identify that, right, with the narrows. We drift off of subject matters. I just listened to a bunch of things, to-dos here. These are more scorecard type things, and we want to check off every month.
And we don't wanna forget them.
Hold on, let me think. So these are all ongoing,
Mm-hmm.
that we want an update, you know, Scott and I think, if I can use our conversation, talk about how do we get some of these things, I don't even know how to get these things funded.
Yeah. How do we get them done?
I mean, see, I look at, think of, this is what we as a sewer department want to do, right? I don't know how to do it, funding wise, and we don't update it. If something comes up, I guarantee, and I'll be sarcastic, if next month's meeting, or 2 weeks, we have a subject matter like Scott brought up earlier, we're gonna sit there and chat about this for 55 minutes and everything else gets put in the back burner. Because we don't have a scorecard tracking it. I did ask for, everybody asked for the contracts that we have, okay? I like it, we got it. Victoria?
Yeah.
Right, there's a spreadsheet I can give her to make it look so that it's easily readable as far as dates, et cetera, right?
Well,
So just-
before you do that, I'm done all this work.
Yeah.
Let me put together let me put it on a spreadsheet and then you can modify it
Right.
to better, it's more than just a list.
Right.
Okay,
Those are items that we want to be on the monthly budget list, monthly agenda.
hey, this is expiring September 2025, what happened?
Yeah.
Well-
That type of,
Exactly.
Correct,
Yeah.
because it just happened, we had 3 gentlemen in here the other day talking about, well, 2 months ago about the narrows, right? And I'm saying, oh God, let's start digging a trench. I don't even know if we have it funded or not, right? How does that work?
You don't have part of it.
Right? So what do we need to do? If that's gonna be our end goal, what do we need to do, other than the scorecard stuff here, what do we need to do as a group to push that forward?
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know anything about, I'll call it public financing. I come from the other sector of the world, the better sector.
Exactly. We can go to the bank and borrow money to do it, right?
Yeah.
So,
But that was my question to the group other than him. All right, so I can, a lot of those things were the same, and I told Jim we'd discuss them at the next meeting. But I really, personally, I gotta understand how capital funding works. I mean, it's just like I had asked Scott about, you know, this whole chemical issue, blah, blah, blah. I've asked you about a few things, right? It starts to make sense to me. I don't understand how capital.
we talked about bringing in the town accountant.
Well, but once again, that's something that come up on an agenda issue, we can check it and cross it off. The contracts are here. Talk about communication and who communicates, we just talked about that, right? Targets, projects, some of these things are projects. They're not goals, all right? And the other thing we talked about, I mentioned was what are the critical success factors that will make us what we want us to be, all right? What do we need to do? I.e. abatements done within 30 days, you know, all the little tic-tac stuff that we can just knock right off. But if they're not put on an agenda or a scorecard every single meeting, they just seem to me, I may be wrong, they just drift off the edge of the world and we don't get to them again until it becomes a hot subject. Am I? Yeah. So,
yeah.
so,
Well, Jimmy, what were your list?
My number one on the things is expulsion.
that's,
My
yeah.
one big
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
We have the outfall.
Narrows.
Yep.
What I had down was planned upgrades coming in the future.
The plant.
One of the things you already covered that in here is how to raise money, how we're gonna
Yeah.
finances,
Yeah, I mean,
projects going forward.
can't keep going with the sewer users back. We gotta say.
Exactly,
Point.
that's the point, and that's what I'm saying, we need to be able to find out how we're gonna raise money, base sales, I'm gonna cut it.
Well, I think our biggest thing is gonna have to be eliminate costs.
Right, and you're working towards that, I know that, so, you that's gonna, someplace down the road, service will show up and
Well, maintenance is the cheapest thing you can do.
Mhm.
So, and this has been, I know, a key point for you, Scott, and we all appreciate your vision for what can be done for maintenance to reduce the overall capital costs. And so I think I speak for everybody, right, that we really appreciate the efforts that you and your crew have put into that.
Yeah.
But there will be limits to that too. There's going to be a limit to how much you can do to maintain versus replacement of equipment. Stuff's going to wear out.
Yeah, become obsolete, and
That's
things are gonna happen.
And then we have this $596 million 20-year project and the $24.6 million,
so money.
$26 million.
What's that
replacement.
project for?
What's that?
What's the $526 million?
$596 million, that's the that's the 20-year sewering plan.
That's good, right?
And then there's the $24.6 million Narrows force main replacement. So, now we're talking real money.
Actually,
I used to say billion here, billion there, sooner or later, talking about money, right?
Yeah, and I've said this before, the state is going to run out of COVID money in 2026. That means it's not going to be coming to the town. The federal government is not going to be, at least for the next 2 to 4 years, there's not going to be any large infrastructure money coming out of the federal government. So this is a huge question for, I think, for both of us, right? Maybe for all of us, is where is this money going to come from?
That's what talking about the goals and how we capital fund it.
It's one of those things, our capital for interest in principal goes out to 2042 now. I mean, we've got a lot of interest in principal on our plate with what we're handling, and it's not even including the 36 million.
Well, see, these things should be discussed in detail at the next meeting about what this stuff costs.
Now, for the force main, the engineers wrote up something that was submitted to NEPA. We were saying like 100 towns submit for this, and they only fund a third of those, something like that. So we have about a third chance of getting money for that. But I don't think this project can wait for 3 or 4 years to be funded.
So, example, we know that we're gonna need money for Narrows. We need to get a fairly decent estimate of what it is, so we can put it on town meeting floor and get the money.
That's right, that's what has to be done. How do we start that?
Yeah.
So I'm talking about, how do we start this thing? Because honestly, when they went in here the last time, 2 months ago, I thought within 30 days, we're gonna be out there getting our picture with a shovel in the ground, we're gonna start digging a trench.
We get either that or we get ourselves a new engineering department.
Yeah, there's that.
Either that or we get a new engineering contract with another.
But why aren't we telling them, we wanna start now, we have the funds available? I'm saying this very elementary terms. We want you to start next month, we have the funds available, let's get this thing moving.
I don't know why they're not responding.
What do you mean?
This is the rerouting of the force main down
Yeah,
Sandwich Road.
they're still working on it, what do you mean?
What,
I mean,
what more do they have to do?
they're starting to do they've been doing,
So the guys
test
up the
bores,
road.
yeah. they're
Okay, so they need that information to have some idea of what it's gonna cost.
And then you go to state, the state has to have a permit because it's a state highway.
There's
and all
another
that stuff.
component too, but somewhere down the
But we have
line,
not discussed that till right now, since the last time they were in here.
that's right.
And I saw the guys up there in the orange vest.
Mhm.
doing it. So I know what that's for.
Yep.
So that's not a way for us to run this business.
So
That's
is
all
the,
I'm saying.
is the next step to say to Derek Sullivan, we need about $24.6 million minus the $6 million that was already approved by the town
Mhm.
for the Narrows main replacement, and let them figure it out, or is that something that we have to figure out?
Well, I think we do approach and say, this is what we want, right? And wait till he comes back with a yay or nay, because we need to move forward on this.
And one
Am I
of
right, wrong on that, Julie?
no,
we could have a problem, we don't have that 6 million.
we'll put the whole package together, you know. Everything that we're looking at doing and trying to do affects the whole town, not just the sewer users. It directly affects the sewer users. there's been discussion in the past about the whole town being participatory in the costs and expenses. Now, that hasn't gotten off of square one, obviously. It would seem to me that we would want to try to get the numbers together, not just in Narrows. In Narrows is gonna happen, one way or another, it's gonna happen.
Can I cut you off there, Jimmy?
Yeah.
How do we know? I haven't, well, because my lack of intelligence in this, with this group, how do we know that's really gonna happen?
With Narrows?
Yeah.
Well, it's either gonna happen or we're gonna clean up the bay. It's-
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know, it's the same thing with this one here. You know, I didn't care whether they voted for that 36 million or not at town meeting, because it was gonna happen regardless, because it had to happen.
Right.
Okay, it's not a question of if maybe, it's a question of when. That's all. We've got a bunch of other stuff out there that's a maybe. That's the pipeline to the canal. I'm using that specifically because of expulsion. We've been running into stone walls on expulsion in other areas, i.e. groundwater, increase level to the ag lawn, another place to drop it, something. Those don't seem to be very positive or productive. The pipeline to the canal is a hydra by itself, i.e. The cost to go from here down Great Neck to the canal, assuming all this can be done, but there's a number of steps which we're in the process of going through, but they're all gonna be timed. We're looking at 5 or 6 years. Okay, because of the regulatory aspects of it. But based on the assumption in the moment that that can be accomplished and done, money is going to be a factor. From the standpoint of, now again, looking at the whole town. If we can go down there, that takes probably 60% of the burden of the CWMP off our backs, because we'll accomplish that much by doing that. Because when we run that route down the canal, now you've got the opportunity, when you dig the trench to put the pipe in, to put the other pipe in, to tie in all of the homes down through that whole area, to sewer all those areas that are designated to be sewered, that will affect the nitrogen. So that takes a bite out of it.
Yeah, that's interesting because that whole area is not even on the CWMP map. That whole peninsula.
That's what we were discussing when they were in here, but we have to get it out.
It's not on there.
No, it's not on there. That would all be down here.
It would be sewering everything that's in the purple
Down here.
by your finger. Move your finger up further.
To the left.
Oh, here's
The
Indian-
purple, no,
Here's what?
see the purple?
I know, this is Indian Neck.
Yes,
And this is Great Neck
Yes.
down here. We're just pointing to be out here. So what we're talking about, running that outflow line out to here somewhere.
Picking up, yep.
Is not even on the CWMP map. So
as
this-
a critical location.
That's right, but I think Jimmy, what you're saying is that we take this nitrogen load off, and that lets us remove, let's say, something from the sea
Right, from one of the other areas.
from one of the other areas,
Yeah.
as far as nitrogen is concerned.
But if we have the outflow, we have the opportunity of connecting all those other sites that we currently don't have. Because we have an increased outflow.
We have increased outflow. Now then we'll back it up to the plant
They can do two.
limitation, which you won't be able to do too many. Theoretically, what it's good for.
Well,
So we will be able to pick up that much before we have to look at plant expansion.
Right.
You know, plant expansion has to be something that's considered in these numbers. And what I'm leading up to is that if, to put these things together, the positives on why you would go to the canal and what it's going to benefit, as well as what it allows you to do in the other areas up there, triggers a plant expansion potentially, which is again another dollar cost. This is where we need to put all of these figures as best we can, because a lot of them are going to be wags. I know that. When you put enough of these numbers together to come up with what it really is on a more practical basis than what the CWMP throws out right now. Then it gives you, I think, a little bit more of a basis to go forward to say the whole town needs to get involved in this and get the selectmen and other boards involved in pushing this as well, and doing something where we go from there and then break it down into manageable sections as far as expense goes.
So if we discuss that type of project on a monthly basis in a few months, we'll all be educated on the to-dos for that. We could get the experts to come in and maybe talk to the selectmen, have them and listen to, here's what we need to do. This is what the town needs to do.
I don't see long term any other way around it. Because you're not gonna, as you already elucidated very well, in fact, we're not gonna get it from the state, we're not gonna get it from the federal. Bake sales aren't gonna cut it. So,
We could do car washes with the effluent.
oh, that's true, so let me do that. We're not cost-
Just outside the fire station and watch all that soap go down the storm drain out into the river.
But, I mean, that's,
Does-
I understand the direction.
Does the CMP tell us the gallons that will come from each one of those
No.
colored? Which would be critical to know if we have a $2 million limit,
2 million gallons.
2 million gallon limit, as to how many of those sites we can put online and still make it within the existing
Well,
plan.
if you count each house is 330 gallons.
Yeah.
you got it
Well,
right
then
there.
how many houses are each one of those colors?
But the
I'm not, no, I want that to come from the engineers.
I bet they have that data,
I'm sure they do.
or they could easily put it
They,
together.
they color coded it and meant something for them, so we need to know whether or not even with an outflow,
So if
can
we're,
we accommodate that?
so
without-
mathematically in the back of a brown paper bag, if we're at roughly 40% sewage now, town, and we're running 1.25 million, no,
1 million.
1 million, all right?
And it's estimated that 200,000 of that is infiltration.
And we could, yeah, okay, and if we could take
That's
another,
from a report in 2018.
if we could take another 1 million gallons or close to it, all right, and the first 40%, right, we could be pumping another 1 million gallons with another 40% of the town.
Is that 40% of the use of the home, of the properties?
I'm-
As opposed to
I'm
land by?
just seeing in math.
Yeah, okay, so,
It's irrelevant, Sandy, to that, it's just a concept.
because not all of Wareham is on that map as
Well,
a
I
target.
agree, but I don't think 40% is in that purple, it's less than that, so to me, they could all come into that.
The
You follow me?
And the green,
There's a map on the website, you can look to see what is already sewered.
Yeah.
So, and it'd be nice to overlay that map with this map as well.
I'm going to add this to the conversation. We do not have the $6 million.
Okay.
The article reads, capital improvement project to line the Force Main sewer line from the Narrows pump station to the WPCF. That is lining the sewer line, which is not our intent. So this $6 million cannot be used for the new line, the new pipe down Route 6, because that's not what the article said to approve the $6 million.
But we could throw the 6 million out, cancel
We
it.
we can rescind this article and
And go
put a
to-
new article in.
Yeah, okay. so-
Once, but I just wanted you to
Oh,
know
no.
that you talk about we had 6 million approved, we have nothing approved for
Right.
the Sandwich Road project. I just heads up for those,
So could it be something like it's a combination of different funds, so maybe some state funds, some borrowing a little bit from the reserve fund, and maybe there's $1 million or $2 million from the reserve fund that we can kick in.
That's what it's gonna wind up being.
Some combination.
But, you know, what specifically, I can't tell you right now.
Yeah, so this is something maybe
It's what's out there, it's what the,
for Derek and John
Yeah, well,
Foster
that's-
and whoever else to work out. Not for us to figure it out, but not the town to figure it
you know, that's why I said, in order to get them involved in the whole thing, and get them up square one, and get the town involved in the whole thing, I think we need to put all the numbers together, but we can,
out. Yeah.
that are practical. Not the way, as I said, you sit them on a wagon.
We don't have a budget for sewer commissioners or something in his budget that we could use to bring up two things. One is we want to bring up the hiring of an admin person to start this person do some of these things that we're talking about. Sorry, if I
Go ahead.
right? The second one, I'd like to hire what I call a project manager, right? That takes on putting A, B, C, D, and E all together, and we're talking about narrows and all that stuff to gather all the information. Who's done what? I actually wrote down who's done first, right? The old Abbott and Costello, right? Routine, so that we understand when they come to us, we can speak intelligently to it. We understand it. Does that make sense? Because I certainly don't have the capabilities to do that all the time.
So that would be up to Scott, I think, to hire people and then generate a job description and
I think the biggest thing
supervise.
is I would want a full-time person to do this, and I'm not sure that's a full-time job.
You know, with all the things you gotta do, Scott, you can't make it a full-time job.
I think you'd find people, that person, not,
Fully engaged for 40 hours a week.
right, I mean, a lot of those things, whatever contractor we have working on, like, we can request that information.
But you have things to do during the day.
I can write an email, and you just gotta let me know what you want, and I can go to the contractor and be like, where are we with this? Here's the questions that we would like answered. And they'll do it because they're our contractor. You know, the meeting minutes, I think you have a contractor for that already. I just don't, I don't want, to employ someone and not have them actually productive.
No, I understand. No, I don't always.
Because I actually talked to Doreen about this, and I was like, gee, I do want a full-time person, but I want to upgrade the people that I have here. But I just, when I stopped and think about it, it was a part-time person before, and that part-time person was not busy all the time.
But you don't think with these projects that we have, that
I think a lot of them are going to be, you're not going to find them, someone we're going to get off the street that's going to be able to go to town hall to figure out how we're going to get things paid for.
it's a pretty high level position to do that.
Right, I mean, that's probably me sitting with Derek, to figure these things out, specifics. And like I said, everything else, we can go to the contractors to ask them questions. What's next? What are we doing? So I don't know. But I mean, you want someone full-time to do the minutes, okay, there's minutes. So they have something to do every other week. But then, you know, a lot of these things is gonna be, I would think, the way that I would approach it if I was hired to do this, I would probably go out to the contractors and ask them the questions that I need to answer, because I don't think anyone can walk in and just have that answer.
But we're also asking for budget tracking for project updates, there's a bunch of stuff.
scorecard.
Well, we track the budget. I mean, we can give you a rundown of where the budget's at. With the line items, we actually have that.
I know I went through a bunch of them and listed some, what people recommended, we're talking at the next meeting, but you think, Victoria would have that much time to do all that?
It's just a printout, it's already done. Like, she puts it in there, it's already done, because that's how we have to track the line items.
Well, I think if we can see that once a month, if we can see that once a month, that may take care of it, or maybe it does, but if we
But
should
then we
try.
have to show what we were looking for.
That's right.
But you close your books, close them out that, right?
Yeah, and
Calendar.
then, and, you know, as much as we have a tally of what's going on, then it's like weeks out before we really get it back to the accountant, but we'll know where we're at.
That's what we wanna see.
Right.
All right, so if I put that list together, she can set up a nice little spreadsheet for us.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's already set
I
up.
saw some, most of it's there, there's some other things that we've added in, people recommended it be added.
Yeah, we can look into it and, you know,
And then, would you have any problems if I set up a scorecard sheet for her, for the contractors a little bit differently? That kind of reads the other way with all the contractors, key information across the top, expiry date, value of the contract, extensions, how many years, et cetera, et cetera.
I think it'd be a helpful tool to have. I think we have.
I think
It's
Similar,
it's,
But I
There's some
think,
description of the project.
Yeah, the contract, yeah.
But before you do that, let me send you what I have,
Yeah, okay.
because I've virtually done that,
Uh,
I just haven't typed it yet.
what is GBH River Estuary? The contract.
that's part of their, they got a grant to be able to study the nutrient load to that, and they use that grant as part of the CWMP.
But I can't find where we ever approved it. But I have a GHD Phase 2 Change 1 for the vehicle storage building, but it's not on this list.
Try to hijack that.
So I have something from Saybrook Managing. I have something from Borden and Remington, which is not on this list. I have something from I have something from Monster Vac LLC, which is not on this list. I have Mission Communication, not on this list. I have 2 change orders from Water Line, change order number 2 and change order number 2. And I was surprised we have 2 number 2 change orders. Well, looking at it, I mean, that type of confusion. But I have nothing for the GHD River Estuary. I've only gone back 9 months. But example, if I take a look at South Shore Generator, it says repair, I've added repair generators per hour work. I take a look at Knowles, it says emergency repair services, and it's $1 rate. Or Atlantic Coast Polymer, that they're going to give us polymer immersions and dry polymer at the price per pound. I can't find where we have Weston and Sampson for the Narrows Force Main. I can't find that contract
Because it's
yet.
under EDR, actually.
I don't have an EDR.
No?
So I have a order in Remington for sodium hydroxide. A order in same company for soda ash.
It's adjusting pH.
Yeah, but it's one of those things,
Well, and yeah,
same company for another chemical. So I don't consider this list to be a full list of contracts by going through minutes. So I will be writing this up and then we can look at the polls. Because I've tried to say what the service is, what the cost is, and what the expiration date is. So give me a chance to go through this and complete it, and then you can see where you want to fill in the holes.
Excellent.
Okay, ongoing sewer projects, they're gonna be sitting up in the backyard right now. Whatever else you have to do.
It looks nice when I come in and see the building, that.
Yeah,
The basketball
it's coming along
court,
quite
the
nice.
basketball court,
Yeah, really $2.7 million for that building? That was a change order for that, yeah, $2.7 million.
Yeah,
That really wasn't a change order, it was a shift.
Right.
If it wasn't a change order, they charged it to us as a change order.
That's why we have.
Because they had to, because of the way they had to do it, they had to write it up a certain way,
Because it was originally,
outside the fence.
yeah, it was gonna be the other side. And this just made it more practical and less expensive.
The last thing I have, Jimmy, is I've gone through the contract, pretty high level of detail for the CWMP. And I had a few questions about deliverables. So the engineering firm, GHD, was supposed to deliver certain things and the town was responsible for certain things. And I just had a couple of questions, I had a few things highlighted. So maybe among us, you could let me know if they've been satisfied. So under the phase one, there was a needs assessment report. Do we have a needs assessment report from GHD?
I'm gonna guess phase one was done before I got here.
Okay, so it'd be useful to know if we actually
We'll ask
got
them for a copy.
Okay,
Jimmy, can you make that, can you ask GHD for a copy of the needs assessment?
report. They were supposed to include the known regional planning efforts for shared watersheds, including those before 2022. So that's why I'm really interested in that needs assessment report, because I want to know about the regional planning efforts.
Scott, do us a favor,
Yeah.
put an email to Jimmy saying, can you get GHD to provide these things that were supposed to be deliverable,
Okay.
as opposed to,
Reading it out?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff in here that,
Yes, I think a lot, again, this goes back to like, a lot of these things, we just go right to the contractor,
yeah, that's what I'm,
you know.
yeah,
But we don't stay on top of it, so to speak.
right, but, and you both have been on the commission since 2022, right? Did you ever see the needs assessment report?
I can't remember it.
And you should have a copy somewhere, I mean, you
I
know,
have
that
that
before,
before,
yeah. That was phase one. Phase two is alternative screening analysis report, and so that would be another thing that we should have here. So these are the foundation for the CWMP. This is the basic research that they did to figure out what they needed to do next.
And you're saying we don't have this from that, we can't find it.
I don't know.
We don't know if we have it or not.
Yeah, I don't know if they have it or not. But, you know, this was $400 and something thousand, this report. And I'd like to know that we got all the deliverables for that money. There was a NEPA review. There was supposed to be a CWMP stakeholder group for project review and public outreach.
A MEPA review is going on right now.
Yeah.
Public outreach was you guys meeting down at Narrows, I think what it was, that
Yeah,
little group.
all of 3 people.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was your public outreach. Well done.
Initiate a quality control and management system throughout the duration of the project to maintain budget and time constraints, to solicit, incorporate town, state, and citizen input, and to monitor regulatory requirements for the project. That was task 4, okay. SRF application, I don't know what SRF is.
It's a funding source.
Do you know what it is? State revolving fund.
Yeah, I think that, again, they
Yeah.
did apply, they created the application for it.
They just, I think, the director signed something.
Okay, that was task 5. Task 6, flow neutral regulations or bylaw. Assist town in developing draft flow neutral regulations or bylaw by providing samples from other communities.
Haven't done that, you've got samples on that.
I just saw one from Borders.
I've sent you samples on that a month ago.
Owner responsibility, so the town was supposed to create a working group and stakeholder group.
That's you guys.
Are we both? Working group and stakeholder group? And town water use data, would that have been supplied to them?
They would have, yeah.
Okay.
So Carrie, for your list, put
So-
down
Yeah, a
CWMP
lot of it-
deliverables, status
A lot of
of
it
them.
was already in there.
So, add status of deliverables for CWMP.
This is a massive contract, and until I read it in detail, I really had no idea.
I'm glad you did. I did. Okay,
Status of rules of CWMP, right?
Yeah.
so so Jimmy's gonna, Scott's gonna give Jimmy a list and Jimmy's gonna ask them where it is and give it to us if they have it.
Yeah,
And give us a status as to why we don't have it.
if we don't.
If we don't have it, why don't we have it? Or when might we have it? So,
Okay, sewer commissioner's email address. Hopefully it's wpcf@wareham.gov.
as I
That's it?
said, I tried it, no, it never, don't know where it goes to, so you're gonna have to, Jimmy, can you speak with IT, Matt, and ask Matt who is on the receiving end of that email?
So you sent out a test, so to speak, and
I sent a note, I did,
I didn't,
and no one responded to me. Test, let me know if you received
I would have
this.
said something.
I would have said.
Yeah, you have when I've done it for other committees,
I know it's
so
gonna
it goes nowhere,
I got nada,
I say, roger that, Kathy.
so I don't know who it, you know,
I got nada, so I haven't seen any test, anything.
Yeah.
Come through.
So it's not a valid email, but did you get anything that said this is not a valid email address? So it
nope, I got no response.
just went into the ether.
It went
So
to,
it goes someplace,
Yeah.
but we don't know where.
okay, anything else?
That's it.
That's awful.
Any unanticipated items?
Yeah, unanticipated.
Are you coming Saturday to the golf
No,
tournament?
I'm not,
Okay,
I'm sorry.
next meeting is October 9th
Affirmative.
at 1:30 p.m.
Affirmative.
Oh, we've been here long enough, so I've missed the Keystone car
Rock
show.
Pops.
No,
Are we adjourned?
not yet. I make a motion, we adjourn at 3:17.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Yes, we're team insurance.